9 spine-chilling motel encounters. Terrifying true stories revealed to keep you up all night. The night was closing in on a crumbling motel in rural Ohio, where Lisa and her daughter Mia were just trying to escape the chaos of their lives. The flickering fluorescent lights glared down like judgmental eyes, illuminating the peeling floral wallpaper. An unsettling odor, reminiscent of decay, lingered in the stale air. "It's just for tonight," Lisa reassured Mia, her voice steady, masking her own growing unease. She had moved mountains to reach this moment, a new place, a new life. Yet even her optimism couldn't hide the truth. They were trapped in a forgotten world of fading hope. Mia rummaged through their meager belongings, her teenage spirit restless and curious. "Mom, come check this out!" she called from the closet. Curiosity piqued, Lisa approached. There it was, a hidden door, almost as if it had been waiting, deceptive in its inviting silence. With trembling fingers, Mia pushed it open. A low whisper spiraled like smoke from the darkness beyond, sending icy fingers of fear crawling up her spine. "Did you hear that?" Mia's voice quivered. "Just the wind," Lisa said, her tone firm. She forced a smile to mask her worry. Deep down, she brushed off Mia's fear as typical teenage imagination stress-induced nonsense. After all, the crumbling structure was nothing more than a rest stop on their journey toward a hopeful tomorrow. But as darkness draped heavily over the motel and the world outside faded away, tensions slithered into the room. Shadows danced on the walls, elongating, twisting in grotesque shapes that made Lisa's heart pound like a war drum. The brittle light thrummed like a heartbeat, creating a pulse of anxiety, and she felt it, a dangerous weight pressing down on her spirit. In the lobby, a manager with an unsettlingly wide grin regarded them. "Welcome! I have just the maps you need," he chirped in a voice too cheery for the gloomy setting. Something felt deeply wrong. The gleam in his eyes was too bright, too eager. Suddenly, both their phones buzzed, displaying ominous alerts. "Leave now before it's too late." Each message bore an unsettling, cryptic symbol that only amplified Lisa's unease. Panic swirled in her chest as she remembered Mia's unsettling tick-tock about the cursed rest stops of Ohio. She shook her head, dismissing it as hysteria, but her maternal instinct screamed at her to protect her daughter. The murmurs of other guests were like distant screams, whispered talk of disappearances that sent shudders down Lisa's spine. She could see the fear etched in their faces as they exchanged knowing glances. With a racing heart and cold sweat pooling in her palms, she prepared to confront the whispers growing louder in her mind. Just then, a sharp knock echoed through their room, rhythmically breaking the tense silence. A voice, eerily calm, wormed its way through the door. "Let us in, we're just trying to help." Every nerve in Lisa's body rattled. She looked at Mia, her eyes wide with terror. They were not alone anymore, and the night had only just begun. Mia squeezed her mother's hand, her breathing quickening. "Mom, what if they're not safe?" she whispered, the tremor in her voice betraying her bravery. Lisa felt the blood drain from her face. She glanced at the door, an unwelcome presence waiting on the other side. "Stay quiet," Lisa mouthed, her heart thumping fiercely in her chest. The knock came again, this time more urgent. "Let us in. We know who has been taken." A chill crawled down Lisa's spine. The words felt like a warning, a curse spoken by those who had seen something they should not have. Drifting toward the window, Lisa peeked through the tattered curtain. The lot was empty, save for a few flickering streetlights that created eerie halos against the cracked pavement. It was too quiet. She could hear her own heartbeat pounding like a drum. She turned to Mia, fear etched in the girl's wide eyes, and she fought against the urge to flee. Leaving now seemed as dangerous as staying. "Mom, what should we do?" Mia's voice was barely above a whisper. Let me think." Lisa paced the tiny room, the air thick with tension. The chilling knock continued to sound, an insistence that grew more menacing with each moment. She could feel eyes watching them, even though the room was shrouded in darkness. They weren't just trapped in a motel. They were ensnared in something larger, something sinister that loomed around them. Just then, there was a soft scratching at the door, like fingernails desperately clawing for escape. The voice continued, laced with urgency and something darker. "We can't let you stay. The more you wait, the worse it gets." "Mom!" Mia cried, pulling tighter on her grip. Unable to withstand the pressure, Lisa jumped forward. "Who are you?" she called, her voice strong but quivering with fear. "What do you want?" Silence enveloped them, thick and suffocating. For a moment, Lisa considered what might be waiting beyond the door. But doubt clawed at her. Could she trust the voice? Would opening the door bring salvation or doom? Suddenly, the doorknob rattled violently, as if someone was trying to break in. Cold dread settled in Lisa's stomach. Waves of adrenaline surged through her veins. "We need to get out of here," she shouted, dragging Mia with her toward the hidden door in the closet. "Mom, what about that?" Mia gasped, but Lisa didn't hesitate. "Now!" They pushed through the hidden door and stumbled into blackness. The air was stale, heavy with the stench of mildew. As they stepped inside, Lisa reached for her phone, desperately navigating in the pitch black, the dim light bathing the narrow hallway in an eerie glow. "I can't see anything," Mia whimpered, but Lisa pressed on, adrenaline igniting her resolve. They felt around, reaching for walls that felt damp and gave way to something hard. "Wait!" Lisa halted suddenly, sensing something behind them. The darkness behind seemed to inhale, heavy and alive. "What was that?" Mia gasped, her breaths quickening. "Don't look back," Lisa urged, though her voice wavered. In the false safety of the narrow corridor, they heard whispers. Laughter. The sound slid around them, a ribald gathering of voices eager to swallow them whole. The moment felt both like an eternity and the blink of an eye, a noose tightening slowly, painfully. Then there was a crash behind them. The door had burst open. "We just wanted to help," the cheerful voice echoed through the dark like a taunt, trailing off into a soft cackle. Lisa's heart sank. She yanked Mia away as they both pushed further into the corridor. But with every step, she could feel something watching them, waiting, and the rush of terror blinded her to their surroundings. "We need to find a way out." But ahead loomed another door, shrouded in shadows, its frame beckoning them like a wolf's mouth, inviting yet ominous. What lay beyond? Was it refuge, or something even more terrifying? "Mia, hold on." She gripped her daughter's hand tighter, swallowing her own fear as they approached the threshold. Behind them, the laughter grew louder, twisting into a cacophony of nightmarish echoes with a deep breath. She pushed the door open, stepping into the unknown. The door creaked ominously as it swung open, revealing a room cloaked in gloom. Lisa felt an icy wind whip past her, bringing with it a scent of decay. Her heart raced, matching the violent rhythm of the laughter that echoed behind them, now a twisted symphony of malice. "And Mom?" Mia clutched her hand harder, her small fingers trembling. The room revealed itself slowly, a nightmarish reflection of the space they had fled. The walls were damp and streaked with what looked like dried blood. Broken furniture lay strewn across the floor as if it had been thrown against the walls in a frenzy. "Stay close to me," Lisa whispered, her words barely making it past the lump in her throat. Just as they stepped inside, the door slammed shut behind them with a resounding thud, sending ripples of panic through her. "Why do they want us?" Mia whimpered, her voice small. Lisa scanned the shadows, heart pounding. "I don't know, sweetheart," she replied, forcing a calmness she didn't feel. "We need to find another way out." The oppressive silence felt suffocating. They moved cautiously across the room, their breaths echoing off the walls like an uninvited melody. As they inched deeper into the darkness, Lisa felt an unnatural coolness wrap around their limbs. The sensation was unsettling, tinged with a prescient fear that something was lurking, waiting for them to make a mistake. In the corner of the room stood a large mirror, its surface clouded, the glass no longer reflective. The edges were jagged, framing a void that seemed to pulse with darkness. Lisa could feel something emanating from it, an energy that sent shivers down her spine. "Mom, look!" Mia pointed towards a corner cluttered with discarded objects, a child's toy, a crumpled doll, and a strategically placed scrapbook. Lisa's stomach twisted as she recognized it, her eyes growing wide as realization washed over her. "Mia, back away from that," she said, her voice trembling with urgency. The moment hung heavy, the stillness broken only by the sound of their shallow breaths. As Mia stepped back, the laughter erupted again, closer now, mocking. "We just want to play." Lisa turned abruptly, yanking Mia away from the shadows. "Run," she hissed, urgency propelling them forward as they scrambled towards the only other exit visible, a door on the other side of the room, half hidden behind a pile of debris. As they rushed forward, an eerie glow flickered from the edges of the mirror. It cast ghostly images of children, their faces twisted in laughter, as though they belonged to the darkness that lurked beyond. Lisa felt her heart drop as the realization gripped her. These were the souls of those who had vanished, now trapped, eternally wanting to play. "Mia, don't look at them!" Lisa shouted, pulling her daughter closer, the cold reality of their situation sinking deeper. They lunged for the door, every nerve screaming. But just as Lisa reached for the handle, she heard it, a chorus of whispers weaving through the air, chilling her to her core. "Help us, join us, no!" She tore the door open, dragging Mia through into another corridor. Despair seeped in as they ran, the air thickening with dread. "We need to keep moving!" Each step echoed their pounding hearts, but then Mia gasped, freezing in place. In the flickering shadows, something shifted. A figure materialized just ahead, standing between them and hope. A voice, velvet and dripping with malice, whispered, "You're not going anywhere, dear." As the lights flickered and dimmed, Lisa felt time stretch, stifling any hope. The face was pale, eyes hollow, and she realized with a jolt they weren't alone anymore. "Mia, hold on tight!" she shouted, but as she turned to run, the figure lunged, freezing her in place with overwhelming fear. They were trapped in a nightmare with no way out. What awaited them now was darker than anything they could have imagined, and as the laughter subsided to silence, Lisa realized this was just the beginning. Could they escape the grip of the malevolent forces that hungered for them, or would they too become part of the motel's twisted play? Lisa's world exploded into chaos as the figure lunged at them. The oppressive aura in the corridor thickened, wrapping around her throat like a noose. Mia screamed, the sound piercing through the air and sending waves of terror through Lisa's veins. "Run! Now!" Time felt distorted, like an hourglass turned on its side. She could barely think, instinct driving her as she shoved Mia forward, not glancing back to see if they were pursued. Their feet pounded against the scuffed floor, echoing in the vast emptiness. The corridor stretched on endlessly, a tunnel of despair with shadows flickering at the corners of her vision. She felt eyes on her, a thousand prying gazes from behind the peeling wallpaper and cracked light fixtures. Mom!" Mia's voice trembled, barely a whisper. Lisa risked a glance over her shoulder. The figure had stopped, watching with a predatory gaze, grinning wide enough to expose teeth like sharpened knives. The laughter resonated again, a chilling melody that wrapped around them. "Play with us. It's just a game!" The voice twisted with delight, every syllable dripping with malicious glee. "Don't listen. Just keep running," Lisa urged, her heart thundering against her ribcage. They had to get out of this nightmare. Without warning, the lights flickered intensely. For a moment, Lisa glimpsed what lay ahead, a door, seemingly illuminated by some ghostly glow. Hope ignited, and she bolted towards it, dragging Mia along. Almost there. Lisa pushed through the heat rising in her chest, adrenaline fueling her desperate sprint. Just as they reached the door, it swung open, revealing another room, a hallway flooded with bright, blinding light. But as they crossed over the threshold, the light dimmed, replaced by shadows creeping back in with suffocating haste. Nausea washed over Lisa. "What is happening?" "Mom, look!" cried Mia again, pointing back down the corridor they had just come from. The figure stood there, eyes glowing like embers, its grin stretching wider still, hands extending towards them as if summoning an unseen force. Time seemed to distort again. Every heartbeat felt like eternity, echoing through the corridor, vibrating in the air. Lisa felt a surge of panic rising, thick and choking. "Mia, we have to go!" Lisa felt a cold sweat trickling down her spine. She grabbed her daughter's arm, yanking her forward as they stumbled into the new room. The walls pulsed with darkness, and chilling whispers drifted toward them, carrying with it a scent of mold and rotten wood. Lisa tried to focus, but the words seemed to tease them. "You can't escape, we want to play." They stood in a vast empty space, a hall lined with doors on either side, their surfaces grimy and marked by time. An unsettling chill kissed Lisa's skin, and she shivered involuntarily. "What if we get lost?" Mia whispered, fear painting her voice. "We want to get lost." Lisa's voice steadied, a tremor hidden beneath. They needed to keep moving, to find something, a way out, or someone to help them. She struggled to keep the terror at bay while she scanned the unwelcoming faces of the doors. They were all different, some asking to be opened, others threatening them with barbed silence. Then, a horrifying thought crossed her mind. What if they were trapped in an endless loop? Would they walk past the same door among the endless hallways, forever watching? And Mia whimpered, her eyes wide. Lisa hushed, grasping Mia's hand tightly. She turned to pick a door, but before she could decide she heard its soft footsteps, echoing from the end of the hallway, approaching fast. The pressure built in her chest as panic flooded her thoughts. She had to make a choice, fast. "Choose a door, any door," she blurted, urgency flooding her tone. As the footsteps grew louder, Lisa's mind raced. If one door could lead to freedom, another could lead to doom. But which would they risk? With dread mounting and the footsteps gaining, she glanced desperately between two stark choices, one painted in deep crimson, the other encrusted with a strange, pulsating green light. "Mia, which door?" "Just." As she spoke, a voice cut through the distance. "We're waiting, choose us, join us." Lisa's grip tightened on Mia's hand, and with a determined breath, she stepped toward the door that seemed to breathe. What lurked behind it was anyone's guess, but she could feel its sinister allure pulling them in, as something beyond the door beckoned with the promise of revelation and horror. With no other option, Lisa made her choice. Would this door lead them to salvation, or would they stumble deeper into the darkness? With every heartbeat echoing in her ears, this was a gamble they might not survive. The door swung open silently, revealing a narrow, twisting staircase spiraling downward into pitch blackness. Lisa hesitated at the threshold, the air heavy with a fetid stench that clawed at her throat. She could hear nothing aside from her own racing heartbeat, echoing in the cavernous void before them. It felt alive, pulsing with a sinister rhythm. "And Mom?" Mia's voice cracked, fear seeping through her words. "Stay close," Lisa urged, her voice barely a whisper, shaky but firm. Gritting her teeth, she stepped into the darkness, pulling Mia along. The chills seeped into their bones as they descended deeper, each step swallowed by an unnatural quiet. The walls around them seemed to lean in, suffocatingly close, as if they were being drawn into something vast and unknowable. Lisa's fingers brushed against the damp concrete, sensing the shifting textures beneath her fingertips. She felt bow rise in her throat, the air tasted stale, as if it had been trapped in this place for decades. Suddenly, a flicker of light broke through the darkness, illuminating what appeared to be a door at the bottom of the staircase. But the light pulsed, flickering like a dying flame. It drew Lisa forward, yet every instinct screamed for her to turn back. "And Mom, I don't want to go down there," Mia whispered, dragging her feet, her small frame trembling beside Lisa. "I know, but we have to find a way out." The urgency clawed at her throat, rising in her chest like a choking vine. They continued downward, the light growing more erratic. Shadows darted at the edges of the illumination, writhing as if alive. Once they reached the bottom, the door loomed ominously. It was battered and old, groaning slightly as if it were aware of their presence. "Mia, on the count of 3, Lisa said, steeling herself. 1, 2. Before she could finish, the door swung open, crashing against the wall with a resounding bang. Adrenaline shot through Lisa's body like fire, and she instinctively shoved Mia behind her as they both froze. What lay inside was an eerie, dimly lit room, with a single flickering bulb hanging overhead. The walls were plastered with what looked like old newspaper clippings, their headlines screaming dreadful tales of loss and despair. Blood-red spray paint smeared across one corner read, "Don't trust the light." Mom?" Mia whimpered, peeking around Lisa. "Stay back," she commanded, stepping cautiously into the room. The scent of decay wrapped around them, thick and suffocating. It felt wrong, twisted. This wasn't just a place, it was a grave. On a battered table in the center, scattered papers lay chaotically, their contents too jumbled to make sense of. But one thing was clear: every headline detailed gruesome disappearances from the vicinity over years, the very children who had strayed too close to this darkness. A cold shiver ran through Lisa. This could be their fate too. "And Mom, we should go," Mia whimpered, pulling at her sleeve. Just as she turned to lead Mia back, the door slammed shut behind them. The noise reverberated like a gunshot, and the lights flickered violently. Shadows danced against the walls, and cold laughter filled the air, echoing in a mocking cadence. "You shouldn't have come here, you're ours now." Lisa's heart raced, panic gripping her. She scrambled for the door, but it wouldn't budge. The laughter intensified, rising until it felt like needles in her ears. "Lizzie!" She suddenly heard a voice whisper, laced with a familiar melody that twisted her stomach. It was no longer just a game. "Mia, we have to find another way out. We can't stay here." But the room felt like an entity, closing in, sealing their fate. As Lisa searched for a means of escape, something flickered across her periphery, a door all but hidden in the shadows, pulsing for attention. The whispers turned frantic, urging, "Pick us, join us, there's no way out." Lisa hesitated, torn between hope and dread, knowing every choice could lead them deeper into an unspeakable horror. As the laughter rang out, igniting her terror anew, she knew they had to decide quickly. Would they risk stepping into the unknown behind that door, or would they succumb to the shadows? The voices grew louder, manic and haunting. "Choose, join us." Lisa's breath hitched. No time to waste. The fate of them both hung in the balance. Before Lisa could gather her thoughts, the shadows twisted into shapes, grotesque figures contorting against the walls, their forms shifting like wisps of smoke. Mia clung to her, eyes wide with terror as she shook her head, refusing to step further into that cursed room. We can't go anywhere but here," Mia whispered, voice trembling. The flickering bulb cast eerie shadows that danced with malicious glee, as if the very darkness were alive, reveling in their fear. Desperate, Lisa turned to the hidden door, the last glimmer of hope or an even deeper abyss. The whispers escalated, filling her head, pulling at her sanity. Join us, Mom, it's not right." Mia's voice cracked, pulling Lisa back to reality for a moment. "Stay close, Mia. Focus on me." She steadied her breath, locking eyes with her daughter. "We have to be brave. I can't let anything happen to you." But even as she spoke, that familiar unease coiled in her gut like a snake ready to strike. The laughter persisted, a symphony of despair echoing off the walls. Choose. It sang, seductive and cruel. Ignoring the taunts, Lisa edged toward the concealed door, heart pounding like a drum in her chest. A hand reached out to push it open, and she braced herself for whatever lay beyond. But the door creaked on rusted hinges, resistance gnawing at her resolve. When it finally gave way, darkness spilled out, thick and heavy, laden with the scent of mildew and something indescribably bitter. Mom." Mia's voice rose in pitch, and Lisa felt every nerve in her body scream to retreat, yet something within her urged her forward. With a surge of determination, she stepped inside, pulling Mia with her. The air shifted, wrapping around them like cold fingers, tightening their grip with each passing second. Inside, the space seemed impossibly vast, an endless void stretching beyond the reach of her dimming light. "Maybe it's safe, maybe," she stammered, desperately trying to convince herself. The walls appeared slick and glimmering, as if embedded with a layer of sweat from the darkness itself. In the far corner, Lisa could make out fragmented shapes, blurry outlines shifting, perhaps reflecting the terror in her own heart. The atmosphere buzzed with an energy of dread. Every instinct screamed that they were intruders in a domain that demanded tribute. Suddenly, an icy gust rushed through, swirling around them and seizing the table in the center. Papers scattered like leaves caught in a storm, unveiling grotesque images, faces of missing children, eyes wide with fear, forever caught in a haunting silence. Mom," Mia gasped, her trembling hand clutching Lisa's arm tightly as they stood paralyzed, offense and horror splashing across their faces like remnants of a vivid nightmare. The laughter crescendoed, the shadows elongating menacingly, closing in. Lisa could hear their whispers crawling beneath her skin, settling in her mind, sowing seeds of despair. "Join us, be free, Mom, please, let us go." Mia pulled hard, tears glistening in her terrified eyes. Before Lisa could argue or even turn back, a chilling sound ripped through the air. The door they had entered through slammed shut, sealing them in with a finality that echoed off the walls, vibrating deep within their bones. It was then they heard it, a soft, slithering sound, almost a whisper but more like a breath. It snaked around them, wrapping tightly around their minds. Choose or be chosen. Lisa felt frozen to the spot, heart racing, her mind a whirlpool of dread as the shadows shifted, morphing into something more tangible. The air crackled with malevolence, a foreboding sense of fate tightening like a vice. Just then, a piercing scream erupted from the darkness, a shriek that seemed to claw at the very heart of her being. It was a sound that churned the contents of her stomach, a sound that promised despair. "Mom, I want out. I want to go home," Mia cried, and that cry ignited Lisa's instincts. She had to act. What would happen if she didn't? Just as she turned back to the hidden door, fear gripped her once more. Would they join the echoes of the vanished, or could she find a way back to the surface? Time was slipping away, and the darkness pressed in, hungry and relentless. "Mom, listen! There's something behind you." The air thickened with dread, and Lisa felt eyes upon her, cold and calculating. She turned to face the creeping shadows as they manifested into shapes with hands that reached out, fingers clawing to spring their sinister trap. Lisa's body tensed, and in the next moment, they would find out what choice she would make. Would it lead to salvation or eternal darkness? And just before she could scream, the darkness erupted, and everything went black. Light flickered back into existence, but it wasn't just the bulb, it was a violent surge that illuminated the room for a brief moment, revealing the shapes that had emerged from the shadows. Lisa gasped, her heart pounding so loudly it drowned out the laughter echoing around her. The figures were children, twisted and warped, their mouths stretched into grins that looked more like frozen cries. Shadows clung to their forms, whispering secrets of anguish, their hollow eyes locking onto Lisa with an unsettling familiarity. "And Mom!" Mia yanked on her sleeve, panic electrifying her small frame. "We have to go!" But even as Lisa turned to grab Mia's arm, the world around them warped again. Chains rattled, and whispers slithered back into the air, "Join us, join us." The atmosphere was thick with despair, as if the very essence of fear seeped from the walls. "Get away from them, Mia!" Lisa shouted, instinct taking over as she shoved her daughter behind her. The children's figures lunged forward, their hands outstretched, fingers twitching like spiders eager to ensnare their prey. Crash! A rickety chair in the corner smashed to the floor, the sound shocking in its clarity. A dark energy surged, almost as if the very place itself protested against the presence of the living. "Join us or perish," the shadows crooned, the chorus of lost souls vibrating the air as if the entire universe held its breath. Lisa couldn't stand still. She felt the pressing weight of countless eyes on her, each filled with desperate longing. "We will be together," they sang, an unearthly harmony mixing with the sound of wailing. She knew they would take Mia if she faltered. "Hold my hand, Mia! Do not look away!" Wrenching her daughter to her side, Lisa scanned the room frantically. The walls seemed to pulse as if alive, narrowing their path, inching closer. The table's grotesque images of the missing children swirled in her mind, a suffocating reminder that captivity was a heartbeat away. Suddenly, the whispers escalated to a cacophony, deafening and raw, a torrent of sorrow and rage that gripped Lisa's heart. It was then her gaze fell upon a shimmering object half buried beneath the children's torn images. A glint of silver, a key. The thought lit a fire in her chest. "That's it. If we can unlock the door, we could end Mom." Mia's scream sliced through her thoughts. Lisa turned just in time to see a darkness shift, manifesting again into something formidable, a monstrous silhouette with terrible eyes that glowed like dying coals. The remaining children vanished, leaving just the creature, its grin stretching wider, showing rows of jagged teeth. Mia! Run! Lisa shoved her daughter toward the back of the room, desperately searching for a way to maneuver through the malice pressing in on them. Her focus sharpened, she had to reach that key. As she lunged forward, a hand like ice clamped over her ankle, sending a shockwave of terror through her body. She fell to the ground with a thud, the breath leaving her lungs in a choked gasp. Panic surged as the aura of devastation encroached, the laughter exploding into guttural howls, a feast of horrific proclamation. Mia! She screamed. The creature loomed closer, its wretched breathing filling the void, threatening to extinguish what remained of their hope. Fighting against the unyielding grip, Lisa clawed at the floor, her heart racing like a runaway train. With a burst of energy, she twisted and kicked, shaking off the hand that had captured her. Mia! The scream echoed back, but the response was no longer from her daughter. It was another voice, echoing from all sides. Join us! The shadows danced hungrily as Lisa scrambled to her feet. She could see Mia huddled in the corner, mottled by darkness, trembling but alive. The key! She shouted, lunging toward it, desperation fueling every movement. As Lisa's fingers closed around the cool metal, the room spun violently. Gritting her teeth, she faced the looming terror. The key glinted ominously in her palm. Would it be their salvation or their final tether to this realm of horror? With one last defiant scream, she pushed toward the door, knowing in her heart that it had to unlock not just the exit, but the truth of what had been lost. Would they escape the wrath of the shadows, or was the darkness waiting to swallow them whole? As she thrust the key into the lock, everything erupted into chaos, and Lisa held her breath, praying for their survival. The metal clicked and twisted beneath her shaking fingers, but the door held fast. Lisa's heart raced, each thud a reminder of the horror closing in. The creature's breath was hot, putting a tangible weight on her shoulders, a suffocating cloak that threatened to pull her under. Open! Open! She screamed, a desperate mantra that echoed through the madness. With sudden strength, she twisted the key again, almost pleading with it. But the shadows shrieked, a chorus of despair that rattled her bones as if her joyful defiance was an invitation to their wrath. Beside her, Mia pressed against the wall, small and vulnerable. Mom! It won't work. Fear surged like a tide, pushing Lisa to act. She slammed her back against the door, determination igniting a flicker of hope. I have to get us out. Join us, the shadows whispered again, a cold breeze ghosting over Lisa's skin. She felt them tugging, a spectral force trying to draw her in, to bind her in their sorrowful embrace. Panic flared, and instinct took over. She pushed against the door with every ounce of strength left in her. A sudden crack, loud and jarring, echoed through the room. The shadows shrieked, pulling back as the creature faltered, just for a moment. Lisa seized the opportunity, wrenching the key hard in the lock, ignoring the biting chill that clawed at her sanity. The rattling intensified, a malevolent symphony that threatened to drown her out. The door shuddered violently, shifting on its hinges, but it didn't open. Each pulse was a taunt, a cruel reminder of their predicament. She could hear Mia whimpering behind her, the sound like glass shattering in the cavernous silence. Stand back. Lisa slammed her body against the door one last time, adrenaline surging through her veins. The ancient wood creaked and groaned, but then it gave, a splintering crack signaling victory. The door swung wide, revealing a void, a black maw that yawned hungrily, beckoning them into its depths. Mia, run! Lisa shouted, not waiting for a response as she propelled herself into the darkness. The air was thick, a heavy mist swirling around them, almost sentient. Mia was right behind her, arms pumping in terrified urgency. Grabbing her daughter's hand, Lisa pulled her forward, blind instinct pushing them onward into the engulfing nothingness. The whispers turned to wails, breeding chaos as shadows writhed, stretching towards them, searching for a way to pull them back. You can't escape, they taunted, voices melding into a lament of their lost lives. Then, a flicker of light appeared, pulsing in the distance. There! Run to it! Lisa cried, tightening her grip around Mia's hand as they raced toward the hope that seemed almost unreal. But the ground beneath them cracked with each desperate step, as if the very fabric of reality was tearing apart. Shadows clawed at their ankles, dragging them back into the void, nipping at their heels. "M.O.M." Mia screamed, terror clawing through every word. Just as it felt like the darkness would swallow them whole, they collided with something solid, a wall. Lisa pressed her palms against the stone surface, feeling its coldness seep into her skin. "What now?" she gasped, desperately searching for a way through. The light pulsed closer, brighter, its warm glow battling the suffocating shadows. But the sounds behind them grew louder. The creature was coming. The air vibrated with its malevolence, a tangible dread that wrapped around Lisa's throat like barbed wire. "Is there a way through?" she whispered urgently, her eyes darting across the ancient stones. Then, a shiver ran down her spine. At shoulder height, an inscription shimmered into view, an intricate design, both elegant and ominous. It hinted at something forgotten, something that might lead them out, but the darkness surged closer, engulfing the last remnants of hope. "M.O.M." "The key!" Mia shouted, her tiny voice trembling with urgency, a plea to remember, to understand. Lisa's heart sank. The key! It had to hold the answer. But how? In that moment of realization, the door to possibility creaked, almost inviting them back to the hell from which they fled. Would they dive into the unknown to test this fragile thread of hope, or would the shadows consume them before they could find out? As time froze, Lisa felt the unwavering gaze of the creature burn into her back, looming closer. They had to decide quickly. Do we risk it? Would the answer lead them back to the depths or the way to escape? The question hung in the charged air, slipping away as the darkness surged once more, ready to reclaim what it had lost. Lisa's breath came in ragged gasps, the weight of their predicament pressing down on her like an iron shroud. The ink-black veil of shadows moved, writhing as though alive, an angry tide ready to crash down around them. "What do I do?" she cried out, her voice a threadbare whisper against the chaos. Panic clawed at the back of her mind while the inscription shimmered ominously on the wall, pulsing in time with the distant light. Mia tugged at her mother's arm. "The key! It has to mean something." The child's eyes, wide and filled with fear, reflected the brilliant glow that was growing brighter, yet so much remained dark and menacing. "Focus, Lisa," she chided herself, gripping the key tightly. As she stared at the swirling designs on the stone wall, pieces began falling into place. They weren't just symbols. They told a story, an ancient warning, perhaps. But an escape plan? "Let me think," she snapped, even as an echo of dread gnawed at her senses. The shadows seemed to hiss now, sensing her hesitation, livening their assault with a frenzied persistence. Each whisper felt like a cold breath against her ear, urging her to abandon hope. Mia was pulling her closer to the light, eyes darting back and forth between the key and the symbols on the wall. "What if it fits?" she suggested, a note of desperate courage threading through her small voice. "Try it, Mom." Okay. Lisa fumbled with the key, her fingers trembling so violently that she nearly dropped it. The chilling air threatened to swallow them both whole, seeping in under her skin. She approached the intricate design, heart pounding violently against her rib cage. Please, she murmured to the shadows. In her mind, she pictured a closing blossom, beautiful yet deadly, its petals curling inward, fighting against her despair. With bated breath, she pressed the key to the first curve of the inscription and turned it. A flash lit up the runic design, bathing the area in soft gold. It was almost soothing, replacing their cold dread with warmth. It worked? Mia's voice was barely audible, filled with both fear and hope. But a growl rumbled from the depths of the shadows, instantly reminding them of the imminent danger. Before Lisa could think, the key glowed even brighter, pulling her toward the inscription as if it breathed a life of its own. She locked eyes with Mia, who stood poised with uncertainty. "We have to follow it!" The shadows screamed in rage, a cacophony of disembodied voices merging into something monstrous as it reached for them. With a surge of adrenaline, Lisa launched forward, pressing the key deeper into the wall. She felt vibrations racing through her, dislodging long-buried fears and memories, pieces of an ancient secret. Then, in a monstrous explosion of darkness, the air fractured, swirling and churning in a violent tempest. With one last push, Lisa felt warmth radiating from the key as the wall shuddered, cracking wide open and spilling forth a blinding light. "M.O.M." Mia screamed, scrambling to keep her footing against the shifting ground. The portal beckoned like a gaping wound, filled with secrets of their world and the horrors they had eluded. Scents of damp earth and wild blossoms mingled, awakening a part of her she hadn't known existed. A path to escape? Or deeper into horror? But just beyond the threshold, a figure appeared, shrouded in the murky shadows. It seemed to rise slowly, a disturbing silhouette against the light. Lisa's heart fell as the creature's features emerged. It was like a ghoul, twisted and distorted, with hollow eyes that burned with an insatiable hunger. "Join us forever," it whispered, the voice sliding like ice down her spine. Terror took hold, a makeshift prison leashed around her heart. She sprang back, pulling Mia close, but the gravity of the creature's gaze tethered her. "Mom! We need to go!" Mia tugged at her arm again, urgency intertwined with fright. But Lisa hesitated, caught between the ominous presence of the creature and the promise of the light. What lay beyond the portal? Would it liberate them or seal their fates? As the shadows closed in, threatening to swallow everything, Lisa felt a greater terror unfold. Would they reach the light without being consumed? Or would the creature's dark call silence their cries forever? With a pounding heart, Lisa made her choice, aware that the fates of both mother and daughter hinged on a single moment. Would they dare take the leap? With a final surge of determination, Lisa screamed, "We're not yours!" She clutched Mia tightly and leaped toward the light, heart racing, and the shadows lunged, their chilling grasp barely missing them as they plunged into the brilliance beyond the portal. An instantaneous warmth surrounded them like a comforting embrace, dispelling the suffocating chill of the shadows. They tumbled forward, landing in a soft patch of grass that glowed with the soft light of dawn. Lisa blinked against the brightness, and when her vision cleared, they were outside the motel. It stood awash in morning light, its dismal exterior shimmering like a mirage fading away. "And Mom?" Mia's voice trembled, utterly dazed by the abrupt change. Lisa pulled her close, feeling the warmth of the sun on her skin for the first time in what felt like forever. "I think we escaped," Lisa whispered, voice cracking with disbelief. The weight on her shoulders lifted a fraction, but dread still clung to her. The memories of their harrowing night echoed in a sinister whisper of what had come before. But the shadows had not followed, nor did the creature chase them from its depths. They looked at each other, the gravity of their narrow escape drawing silent tears. "We have to go, Mom! What if they come back?" Mia's voice broke her reverie, pulling Lisa fully into the present. "That's right, baby. We're not sticking around." The car Lisa turned, racing alongside Mia towards the parking lot. Her mind spun with thought. They needed to leave this nightmare in the rearview mirror. They sprinted towards the car, hearts pounding like war drums. Each step felt heavier than the last, as if the grips of the dark were still lingering on their limbs. But as they reached the vehicle, Lisa jumped in, fumbling with the keys. Her hands shook, a reminder of terror that still clung to her. "M.O.M. Hurry!" Mia shouted, her eyes wide with renewed fear as they glanced back at the motel. For a moment, it looked just as it had before, but something shifted in the air. The shadows seemed to wisp and twist like smoke, clinging to the edges of the fading daylight. Lisa finally got the engine running, the familiar hum a balm to her frazzled nerves. "Hold on," she said, her voice steeled with resolve. She threw the car into reverse, slamming on the gas as their getaway began. As they roared away, the motel seemed to shudder, twisting against the horizon like a bad memory. "Mom, it's still there." Mia's voice quaked, looking out the back window as the structure faded further into the distance. "I know," Lisa murmured, heart heavy with truth. "But we won't give it power over us anymore. We're going to be okay. We'll find help and forget this ever happened." But deep inside, a flicker of doubt persisted. Would they ever truly escape the weight of that night? The road stretched ahead, a winding ribbon through a vast Ohio landscape, bathed in the soft, golden hues of emerging dawn. Yet, even as tranquility seemed to settle around them, shadows still lingered at the corners of Lisa's mind. They could whisper again, come creeping back when she least expected it. And Mom? Mia's small voice cut through her thoughts again. Yeah, sweetheart? Lisa turned to her daughter, knowing they had each other, the most precious thing in the world. Will you make sure we're really okay? Mia's eyes brimmed with fresh tears, every lingering fear reflected in their depths. Always, Lisa promised, gripping the wheel tighter, determination flooding her veins. We will face whatever comes together. And nothing, absolutely nothing, can take that from us. As they drove on, the weight of their terrifying night weighed down the air, heavy yet somehow lightened by resolve. Their journey was far from over, but Lisa knew they would face it together. And just maybe, they could build a new life, free from terror, free from the memories that haunted them. But in the back of her mind, a warning echoed, a reminder that evil can never truly be forgotten. As the car sped forward into the morning sun, a final glance in the rearview mirror caught the motel, now just a shadow on the horizon, whispering secrets of what had been, a reminder of resilience, strength, and the never-ending battle between light and dark. The moment hung in the air, pregnant with possibility, a flicker of hope against the darkness that would always attempt to pull them back. They were moving forward, but the psychic scars would linger, and as the landscape opened up, so did a choice whether to run from the shadows or to face them with an unwavering heart. The road ahead was long, and they were ready for whatever lay around the bend. So be prepared, dear reader. How do you deal with the shadows that seek to reclaim what they have lost? Don't wait, make your decision now. Remember to subscribe immediately so you don't miss out on the next terrifying tale that explores the darkness lurking just beneath the surface. Smash that like button now. Let us feed this algorithm with support. Flood the comments section below with your thoughts, your theories, your reactions, because we need to hear from you. And for the love of all that is creepy, instantly share this tale with at least 5 friends who need a reminder that not all monsters hide under the bed. This is the moment to show your support, your love for the channel. Don't wait even one more second. Be part of our growing family.